Discussing yesterday a talet or tzitzit that has more than 4 corners. So he brings down some tzitzit katan, talit katan that they make with a hole in the center. So this way a person can put the talet over his head. Now some have it just one hole, and therefore it just goes right over your head. Some have it's a hole, and then they have a little cutout, almost like a V, and they end up putting it over their head. It makes it a little more comfortable. The problem with that is you get into a problem of more than 4 corners, because again you have the 4 corners on the far ends of the tzitzit, and then when they make the V, that automatically creates 2 corners on that beged. Again, depends on how they make it. Usually that's the case. However, there are cases where they're able to avoid such a case. So he says, a person who has this kind of V in a place where the V goes all the way down most of the beged, again depending on how far the cut is, then in that case you are getting into an issue of more than 4 corners. You end up having 6 corners. So he says, try to avoid such a talit, such a tzitzit, so this way you don't get yourself into the sefekot, into the question of, again, maybe according to some opinions, you might not be yotzei mitzvah tzitzit on such a beged, it might be patur. So therefore, a person should try not to buy such a beged, or if he's buying, make sure that the cut that there is on the beged is not going most of the beged. So usually if you're getting a larger size, the cut is not going far enough down that it's most of the beged. However, when you're getting a small talet, in such a small tzitzit, in such a case, most of the time the cut is going down so far down that it's almost most rov ha-beged. If it's rov ha-beged, so you get yourself into sfekot between the haronim, between the rishonim, and therefore you might end up not being yotzeh the mitzvah of tzitzit. Also, he brings down that if a person has 5 corners, again, even according to the opinions that hold it's a kosher tzitzit, you only put on 4 corners. You don't put on the 5 corners. And if a person does put on the 5th corner, he's over on the isur of bal tosif. You're not makbid. Same thing applies when a person has only 3 corners. So sometimes people say, Rabbi, at least I'm putting on the talet, even though they might have 1 corner that's not kosher, it's pasul, the tzitzit are ripped, or whatever it is, and he thinks he's doing a mitzvah because at least I have a tzitzit on. But the mitzvah says that you have to have arba kamfot. So therefore 4 corners is the mitzvah. You can't have 5 and you can't have 3. So if one of the corners are no good, the tzitzit are cut, in such a case, it's better not to put on the tzitzit. And if a person does put on such a tzitzit, he's over on the isur of bal tigra or bal tosif when he adds on the tzitzit.